Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi, show number 356. We are your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. I am starting this show a bit differently than usual, and only because I had already recorded the interviews with James Burns and, of course, our CWK newsman, Tom Gross, and realized I did not put an intro. So here it is. We are looking forward to spending today's conversation talking with each and every one of you about what it is like to cover a Star Wars celebration from the place of a content creator. James Burns is, of course, the editor-in-chief of Jedi News and is a great guy and a good friend of mine, so it's going to be a fun conversation. We're going to start the show, as we usually do, with our intro, and then we're going to look at some Star Wars news. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
We're going to start out the show this week with the news segment. How about that? So, of course, we've got to bring in our CWK newsman, Mr. Tom Gross.
Well, hello, everybody. Top billing. This is great. Awesome.
Top billing. You went from not doing the news segment for a while, now you've got top billing.
Yes, indeed.
Next week, it'll be Coffee with Kenobi with Tom G, and I'll be just dust in the wind.
Oh, I wouldn't count on that. Oh boy! Well, wow, we have some. We've got some good news to talk about this week.
Yeah, take it away, man. I know there's some good stuff, and behind the scenes, whenever we do these, we sort of talk pregame a little bit about ideas, and Tom will tell some news stories he's seen. I may say something I've seen, and sometimes Tom will throw in a surprise or two. So this is going to be fun.
Okay, well, here we go. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy recently spoke on the state of Star Wars now that the 9-part Skywalker saga is complete. She said that it is time to step back and absorb what George Lucas has created. She continued by saying that by taking the time, they get to think about what and where things might go. There's a mythology that spans about 25,000 years, she said. Kennedy also stated that they've been meeting with lots of different filmmakers and talent, and that there are so many fans and creators that have been influenced by 40 years of Star Wars that it's a fantastic opportunity to get a sense of where they want to go and who wants to be a part of this.
So, your initial thoughts on this?
Well, you know what? I feel like I've been saying this quite a bit. I'm happy with this statement because I've been ready for Star Wars to kind of like, let's take a breath and let's take a deep breath and let's let it out nice and slow. Because I feel like we have gone through a block of time, and I don't know what the block is, 5 years, 6 years, where it is not, we just haven't had a chance to really sit back and analyze the sequel series, Han Solo movie, even going back, to Rogue One. We haven't had a chance to really sit back and kind of dig through that. And I feel like what I'm excited about is that's kind of where they are as well. And so I really like that. And just as a reminder, December 22nd of 2023 is the beginning of the 3 confirmed dates of the Star Wars films. And of course, we have Mandalorian this fall. But I do like the fact that they are recognizing that, one, it's time to take a deep breath. But 2, I'm really encouraged by the fact that they're not looking just to executives in a very small think tank. Based on these comments that she made, they're going beyond. They're going not necessarily directly to fans, but to creators and folks who have been influenced by years and years of Star Wars. And they're going to be able to give their input. I don't know. I'm encouraged by this news.
I think that I am too. But it's sort of a strange time because in this culture, in this world that we live in, we're used to more. I mean, it's hard not to pull up Marvel as a template and put it on the big Coffee with Kenobi table and sort of see how that compares to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Because, from 2015 to 2019, we got 5 Star Wars movies, right? We got all, the Skywalker ones, Rogue One, Solo. And, they're all box office juggernauts except for Solo, but I still maintain that's because it came out so closely to The Last Jedi. Whereas Marvel isn't impacted like that, which leads me to the point which I think Kathleen Kennedy and you are trying to make. And that is this. Less is more when it comes to Star Wars. Star Wars is a very, very big story. The mythology is huge. We kind of learned recently it covers 25,000 years, essentially. Yeah. So if that's the case, that requires a lot of time to marinate, to really kind of absorb and break down and think about and let the waves go over us. I mean, so many of us in the world of Star Wars podcasting and fandom are still processing what happened in A New Hope, in The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. These are movies that are almost 40 years old, some of them. So It makes sense to me. And, you can't really film a lot of stuff right now the way that you would like to. That's a big challenge. The celebration was moved to 2022, and originally that was when a Star Wars movie was going to come out. But that got pushed back to 2023, which means that we're going to have a celebration that isn't anchored by a Star Wars movie for the first time in a really, really long while. All factors and all, I think, interesting. I think they're at kind of a place in the creation of Star Wars when it comes to the cinematic version of Star Wars where there's a bit of unknown, a bit of gray. So when that happens, it's okay to pause. I hope that they will still take some risks. I still maintain the biggest risk they did was when they did The Last Jedi, because that was a big departure from sort of the formula, but it took it and sort of brought it up to a different level, a different place. That's the direction I'm always hoping that they're going to try to go. And that's exactly what I think they did with season 1 of The Mandalorian too. But we still got The Mandalorian. We've got all kinds of Disney Plus stuff coming out. We've got a ton of literature. I would be very happy with slowing down with everything and being able to, as you said, really just kind of pour into and really break down what is.
So, absolutely. Yeah. And this gives us that chance to sit back and, like you just said, how you feel that The Last Jedi, is a breakaway. I'd love to have the opportunity to, listen to more what you have to say about that and to hear other people's point of view of stories like The Last Jedi and dig deeper into The Rise of Skywalker without feeling the pressure of, man, we got to get this in before the next film comes out or before, the next era is released. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that, we get to have those opportunities to have that discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
So last Friday, or last week, I suppose, new Star Wars toys were revealed during the Hasbro Pulse Fan First Friday live stream. So we got to take a look at new action figures, playsets, and other toys from the popular Star Wars lines, including the Black Series, which of course is always a favorite of mine, and the Vintage Collection. And so in the Vintage Collection, we will be getting the hulls of the Tantive 4 Blockade Runner, which look very cool, and I love the Rebel soldiers that are a part of that. We also get a new sculpt of Hondo Ohnaka that's closer to the character seen at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And then for the 5th anniversary of Rogue One, Hasbro is releasing a new sculpt of Darth Vader, which, just a little editorial here by the newsman, I think looks phenomenal. Will be available for the first time on a Rogue One card back. Now, in the Black Series, we get the Phase 1 Lieutenant Clone Trooper and the Electrostaff Purge Trooper that's inspired by the video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And if lightsabers are your thing, which I know they are, Dan, we get the Emperor Palpatine Force FX Elite lightsaber that is also part of the Black Series. And then finally, if the 3 3/4-inch figures are your thing, there's some pretty cool sets coming out called Celebrate the Saga. The Celebrate the Saga group is 8 packs featuring 40 figures in all to celebrate the saga, and those each pack is themed, and they're themed as such: the Jedi Order, the Sith, Bounty Hunters, Galactic Empire, Rebel Alliance, Galactic Republic, First Order, and the Resistance. Now, those editions will be on shelves for a limited time, and in some cases, they'll be at exclusive stores. So look for these stunning and fun toys out in the stores, but you can check the Coffee with Kenobi website for images of each of those, as well as information about when and where they will be available.
So thank you for all of that. There's a lot of information. I knew that event was going on and how exciting it was. And Hasbro's always really impressive with what they roll out, and they send us the pictures right away, which I forward on to Lisa, and she permeates our social media with. So she always is so great about that. So thank you again, Lisa, for all that you do for Coffee with Kenobi and for the CWK Alliance for sure. So the standouts for me, there's one that I ordered right away. I didn't even have to think about it.
Oh.
Can you guess what it is?
Well, I know you love the 3 3/4, but I'm just gonna stick my neck out here carefully because I think it's the lightsaber.
That's a good guess. I actually have a hilt of Darth Sidious's from Master Replica already, so I already have that. But no, I got the 3 3/4-inch Hondo Onaka. One of my very favorite Star Wars characters, and the fact that it's a 3 3/4-inch figure, it gives me a little less pressure to have to buy that $400 Millennium Falcon, because that's why I want it, mostly because of having Hondo. Well, that's not the main reason, but it was a reason. So now I can feel a little bit better about that. I already have a place in the studio where I'm going to proudly display him, so I was very happy to get a pre-order for that. The Celebrate the Saga ones, I'm not entirely sure what I think about that, because if it's just another repack of figures, that doesn't really move me in the same way. I know they've got 5 points of articulation. Mark Palomo, who is a huge toy collector, and he's written a lot of great Star Wars books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all kinds of stuff. I don't think he was as thrilled about that, so maybe we should have him on to talk about it. But where are you at with all of this?
Well, one thing that I found that I thought was interesting is that all of those Celebrate the Star Wars packs, did you notice that they, of course, as I mentioned, they're all themed, but did you notice that every single one of those packs comes with a droid?
That's true.
Like, the Clone Trooper comes with a battle droid. Poor guy. He doesn't stand a chance.
Roger.
But all the other ones, even the Sith one comes with, I think it was a protocol droid. And I'm not looking at them right now, but I don't know. I thought they were kind of cool. It's one of those that I would probably buy and never take out. I like the presentation of them better than I do to get them out and put them into poses and things like that. The one that stuck out to me that just really was stunning to me, as I mentioned in the news story, is that Darth Vader vintage collection. I don't own any vintage collection pieces, but that Vader just looks fantastic. And I love that it's a cloth cape. At least it looks like a cloth cape. And it also reinforced for me the way that I gathered that news is that I questioned again. We get back to the question: do you open it or do you keep it in its packaging? And the way that this was presented, that it's the first time that Vader will show up on a Rogue One card back, makes me think that that's a significant, collectible piece. And so now I go back to, oh man, I should have kept all my figures in their packs.
Right.
But I played with them for a long time. But that Darth Vader looked really cool. If I ever come across that, I'm pretty sure that will end up in my collection.
If any Vader figure would tempt me, it would be that one, because I've got a ton of Vaders in packages already, and I've already got some loose ones as well. But I really like that one. I've sort of kind of resisted the vintage line to a degree, unless it's a unique figure like Hondo, or I have my Dr. Aphra vintage figure too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But because sometimes I'm thinking, I'm still, I guess, a little bitter that when Solo came out, we didn't get a carded figure of Han Solo on the Solo card. Like, they didn't make one. Or Lando. Are you kidding?
That is crazy.
And they didn't make any carded figures of The Rise of Skywalker. They just made it all vintage line. And that always kind of bothered me, because I wish they would have at least waited until after. But either way, I know it's a business decision. I know there's a lot more at stake than whatever the whims of Dan Zaire have to do with anything. So I get that. I respect that. And, I'm excited because I think it makes people excited to celebrate and just go out to those toy stores and look for Star Wars things, which is one of my favorite things about collecting and about Star Wars fandom too.
Every time we go to Target or Walmart, I'm like, can we go look at the toys? And in fact, just this last week, my oldest daughter said to me, Dad, I never thought I never thought as a kid I'd hear my dad say, "Can we go look at the toys?" So,
Every time. It's
a
almost
must.
therapeutic. And honestly, even when I know there's not going to be anything there, I still go anyway.
Yeah. So there are a couple ways to celebrate Star Wars and collecting this upcoming weekend. The first is with Topps Digicon, which will celebrate all of the Topps digital card trading apps, including, of course, Star Wars Card Trader. There are many watch parties planned throughout the weekend, including watching the first season of The Mandalorian on Disney+. And on opening day, which is this upcoming Thursday, the day I believe this show is releasing,
Yes.
Star Wars Card Trader will premiere exclusive original paintings of Disney master artist Kevin John. We can join the Digicast hosts, Mark and Gabby, on Twitch to interview KJ about his style inspirations and keep an eye out for special surprises and giveaways on the Star Wars Card Trader app. Digicon passes are available. Now, just to be clear, Digicon passes do not have to be purchased to take part in this event. But when you buy a Digicon pass for $1.99, and it's $1.99 per each app that you want to get these benefits to, it gets you a Digicon 2020 avatar. It gets you 600 crystals, and then they list that there will be exclusive freebies to people who have the passes through the weekend.
Are you going to do it?
For some of them, I will. And I was just looking on the Topps Digital post on Instagram tonight. They posted their Digicon schedule. And so Star Wars and Topps Kick are going to be highlighted on Thursday, August 27th. So Star Wars Card Trader is one that I will buy a pass for. And then Bunt is another one. That's the baseball one. That's going to be highlighted on Friday, August 23rd, along with Top Slam, and then the Garbage Pail Kids. Is that the name of it?
I think so.
They're on Friday, and then on Saturday I will purchase the Marvel one that is Marvel Collect, and then that is going to be paired with Skate. That's on Saturday that those will be highlighted. And then on Sunday, August 30th, will be Disney Collect, The Walking Dead, and basically the Walking Dead card app as well. So I will probably be buying the passes for Star Wars, Bunt, and Collect.
Wow. I didn't 600 crystals. That's pretty nice. That's a good deal.
Yeah, and since they're going to be having these people like Kevin John, who does amazing art, I'm guessing that those crystals are going to come in handy to make sure you secure some of those cards that are going to be really they're going to be collectible, but I'm getting it because I just love the look of it. And I saw a preview of a couple of them. Looks like his paintings are going to be focused around The Mandalorian. Of course, they're watching the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian on Thursday. And then I saw that there's going to be another night that they're going to watch 3 and 4. But the thinking there is, hey, let's get ready for season 2 by watching season 1 now. And if you've never done a watch party on the digital card apps, it is so much fun.
The New Hope one was great, and I got all of those cards, and I had the best time.
It was so much fun, and I did the Onward one on the Disney app, and then I'm trying to think. Of course, there wasn't one for Bunt, although I think it'd be cool to do like a watch party where you watch a baseball game with the Bunt. That'd be awesome. But anyway, so looks like a lot of fun this weekend because we all, now have lots of time on our hands because of the lack of Star Wars celebration. So that's one way that you can celebrate. The second way that you could celebrate this weekend is Star Wars fans have gathered to create an event called Force Fest, celebrating the saga of virtual convention. The goal of Force Fest is to celebrate the best part of Star Wars celebration. It's in my opinion as well, and that is, of course, the community of fans. There will be 6 virtual stages, each focusing on different aspects of Star Wars. There's a content creator stage, a live action stage, books, comics, and animation, interviews, discussions, collecting, art and fandom stages, and then there will be a Cantina Lounge. The fest is 3 days long, beginning on August 28th and through the 30th, and it's hosted by podcasters, content creators, and it is all free. For more information, check out the Coffee with Kenobi website. And in fact, I do believe, Dan, that you are a host of one of the events. Would you like to share with us a little bit of what your role is with Force Fest this weekend?
Absolutely, yeah. I am in a panel that's at 12:30 Pacific time on Sunday. It is called Star Wars: A Literary Language, and it's going to be similar to the mythology panel I did at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, but a little more focused on the specific sort of breakdowns in the terminology of literature and how Star Wars applies to that. And I have an hour to do it. I could probably spend 4 or 5 hours talking about it. So I'm going to try to synthesize some information, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait for people to tune in.
Cool. Looking forward to participating in that. And I do believe, is this, now I'm getting the two confused. One of these events, the Digicon or Force Fest, does a benefit for Make-A-Wish Foundation. I want to say that was the Force Fest.
Yes. We are raising money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's the big hook for me, for sure.
Cool. So get your card app handy, join Force Fest, hop on a watch party this weekend. There's a lot going on.
It's going to be so fun. Hey, man, it's super fun to have you back on the show talking Star Wars news with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure.
Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, James Burns of Jedi News is going to join me to talk about what it's like to cover Star Wars Celebration. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MEI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MEI and Mouse Fan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Mencken and the crew at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Joining me today for a cup of coffee is the editor-in-chief of Jedi News and one of my favorite people in the Star Wars galaxy, Mr. James Burns.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am great, buddy. I am so glad to get the chance to talk to you. Of course, most people listening to Coffee with Kenobi would have no way of knowing this, but James and I talk pretty regularly through the miracle of the interwebs and our phones because of some great apps. James lives across the pond from me. I, of course, live in Central Illinois. And James is someone, the first person I thought of when I thought about this topic, because we're going to talk about Star Wars Celebration. Last week, we talked about Celebration and our memories of what it's like to be on the show floor and the excitement and the fun that is the Star Wars Celebration convention. Obviously, this year we're missing it very much. But one thing that some people may not know about Star Wars Celebration is what it's like to cover an event. I've been covering Star Wars Celebration since 2015, but James has been doing it longer than I have, and he's done more than I have because he's done them overseas as well. So, James, you are the perfect person to talk to about this. And before we even jump into this at all, you come to it from the same place I do. You're a massive Star Wars fan anyway, so that kind of adds a little bit to the excitement and the challenge of covering an event like Star Wars Celebration.
Absolutely, but it really is a challenge because there's so much going on and you can't be everywhere all at once and trying to navigate the floor. And for me, who I'm not, I'm disabled. Let's just say what it is. And for me, getting around these convention centers isn't always easy. And the first thing that I have to do at any convention center is get to know the layout and to find out where the elevators are, or lifts for my friends here in the UK and Europe, because without those, I can't get anywhere.
That's a really good point. So when you were planning to go, let's not even talk about the interviews and and the coverage and all that stuff. Just the basics. So what is typically something that you have done in the past to help familiarize yourself? Because you know as well as I do, once you get there and hit the ground running, it's sort of like all bets are off. So you have to do a lot of pre-game stuff.
So the internet is really your friend here, because most of these convention centers have been used for conventions, many, many times before. So the first thing I'll do is I'll actually go online, I'll look up the convention center, I'll see what the layout is. Now, normally we don't really know how much space Star Wars is going to be taking up in these convention centers, because we don't normally get layouts of plans till a few days before. So prior to the show, I've been onto the convention site, I've looked at the layouts, I've tried to make some assumptions and some guesses. And what I also do is I actually reach out to them just to explain that I'm not fully able-bodied, I'm going to be using a scooter. Is there anything that I need to know? Is there anything I need to be aware of? And normally, I think pretty much in every single case, people have been really, really helpful, really, really friendly, and are willing to, to help you and to impart their wisdom to ensure that you can enjoy the show.
Yes, and it obviously every time I see you. So James and I have been to a lot of events together. We opened Galaxy's Edge together. We've been to Rancho Obi-Wan a number of times, Lucasfilm, all kinds of different places. But Celebration is different because when you're running an incredible website like Jedi News, or you're running a podcast, or you're doing something both as a fan and as a member of the media, there's so many extra criteria. And what I try to explain to people is, think about when you're trying to plan the panels and be a part of the lottery, and Funko's got a great collectible that you want, and Hasbro's got something, and here's the signing. Those are all very exciting, very, very fun, and can be stressful, but in a good way. But when you're covering something, James, it adds like a whole new dimension to things, doesn't it?
It really does, because what people probably don't realize is that in addition to all the programming that's going on that the public know about, there's also a whole load of programming for all of us. So there's additional press conferences and other events going on that we need to attend. So there may be a book launch, which is being held of an evening during the show, or perhaps there's the Rebels panel has just been on the main stage, but then straight after that there's a Q&A with some of the voice talent and with Filoni and other people. So you have to factor all of that in, and some of that information you don't actually get to the last minute. So trying to factor all of that in to ensure that you get the best conference for you and also for your readership or your listeners sometimes can be really, really difficult. And it is a juggling exercise. It really is. And I use a spreadsheet, and I plan and plan and plan, because without that, I don't think I'm a very visual person. I like to see things written down. And if I can see blocks and I can see where there's overlap and things going on, to me, it makes it a lot easier to see where I need to be and how I need to cover things.
I like that. So when you use so you use like Google Sheets or like a Microsoft Excel or something like that?
Yeah.
And how did you?
I just use Excel.
I like that. See, and I'm continually fascinated. My wife is such a good organizer, and I've certainly had a lot of practice myself. But how did you eventually? Did you try other systems that didn't work at first, and you found yourself going back to this? Is this something you use for your day job as well?
Well, I'm a huge advocate for Microsoft products anyway. I use Microsoft products, and I'm writing software all the time. But going back to something that I also know that you love, which is Disney trips.
Yes.
When you plan your Disney trip and you take into account the different parks and the different meal options and your reservations and everything else, we've been using Excel for years to do that. So we have an amazing template that we use.
Wow.
And it keeps a track of all of our reservation numbers for everything, because don't forget, the apps are a relatively new thing. The apps have only been around for 3 or 4 years. So prior to that, we had a laminated piece of paper which came out from Excel, and we had everything on that. And we knew where we were going, which reservations we had when, which fast passes we'd booked in advance. Just because otherwise there's so much information, and Celebration or New York Comic Con or any of the cons that we go to is pretty much exactly the same.
Wow, I would love to see your Disney one, because you and I.
I'm happy to share.
Sometimes I swear, there's so many people that I feel this way about, but you especially, like, so we're separated at birth. Some of the way we process and take these things out, because I'm a bit of a visual person too. But there's also a part of me when I'm covering these events because there's a lot of things that go into my mind. One, especially over the past couple of years, I want to see things as a fan, but I also realize that, Coffee with Kenobi is a brand. Jedi News is a brand. And people want to see sort of what we see. Because for a lot of our listeners, for a lot of our readers, for a lot of the people who are in the Star Wars community, unfortunately, they can't always be at every celebration. They get expensive. There's a lot of planning that goes into it, and there's a lot of factors that go into play. So you have to balance a lot of different things. And so our jobs is to really kind of bring the convention home or online to people on their computers or on their cell phones or their tablets or what have you. What is kind of some of your philosophy behind that?
100% agree. I mean, we want to ensure that our readers can see everything through our eyes, and that if they're not there, they're not actually missing out. So they can see every major presentation, every announcement. And the way that we've always done it is that we've always had, unfortunately, not everybody can go to the conventions. They are expensive. They involve taking a lot of time off of work. And what we've always had the luxury of is we've always had people back at base as well. So we're working in tandem, and we're making sure that the people back at base know exactly what we're doing and what's going on. So as a major panel is going out, so the Mandalorian panel's going out, normally what happens, the minute that panel's finished, a press release hits. So what we try and do is the minute that press release hits, within a few minutes, we've got that up on the site as well. We've tied everything together. People know what's going on. So if people come to Jedi News during Celebration or most of the other events, they're going to see a complete picture of exactly what's going on at the show at any given point. And that's really difficult to do. It does take planning and it does take work, but Justin, who is our US news editor, is fantastic, and he normally during Celebration, he hasn't been to Celebration in 5 or 6 years, but he'll sit in front of his computer during Celebration and just make sure that every bit of information as it's being pushed out goes straight onto Jedi News.
Yeah, he is like how Lisa is for us, because with Lisa, they both are so good at bringing the news, being ready, and you do absolutely have to have a team. It takes a village. James is very much the face of Jedi News, and I'm the face of Coffee with Kenobi. But there are a lot of different cooks in the kitchen to kind of make the perfect little Star Wars fandom stew, I guess.
Absolutely.
Is one way to put it. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. You one of the great things, one of the exciting things that some people don't notice is during Celebration, if you ever see me on the show floor or James on the show floor, you'll see us looking at our phones a lot because, as you mentioned, there's lots of press releases come out, or there'll be last minute things where a PR person will say, hey, can you be at this place at this time? This person would like to talk to you, or hey, here's a panel here, and we'll save a seat for you so you can give us some coverage and stuff like that. All blessings, all amazing things. But what a lot of people don't realize is it is a ton of work, and it's work that we gladly, happily do because Star Wars is obviously our passion. It's also become sort of a side gig for the both of us. But there's a lot of work and a lot of energy that goes into covering something like this because you have to have your head very much on a swivel. But as you mentioned, still be organized and very much live in that moment too.
Absolutely. It's not an easy thing to do. And for years, some of my kids thought I was actually going on a jolly, and it was a real breeze what I was doing. I was attending a show, I was getting involved in it, and I was actually having a lot of fun. Now, that's true. I really, really am. But it's not a relaxing time at all. You're on it 24/7. You're up at 5-6 o'clock every morning. You're going to bed each night at in the early hours, so you don't get a lot of sleep. There's so much going on, so much to think about, and I have to say the last couple of years I haven't gone to as many parties as I used to. I now actually try and take the evenings. I try and mellow a little bit in the evenings because I'm just, maybe as I'm getting older, maybe, I don't know, but it gets harder. And I think sometimes it's just nice, when the show doors close at 7 or 8, and I'm normally out of there by 9ish. At that sort of time, I actually want to just go back to the room, put a few stories up, deal with some photos, chill for a little bit, get a little bit of sleep, and then just hit the floor the following morning. I don't know about you.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you never know when you're going to run into Kathleen Kennedy or
Absolutely.
Or who else, and you want to be at your best. You want to be alert. And I totally know what you're saying, because at night when we go back, you got to eat, and we'll try to at least make time to have dinner with someone, or just do something to greet people, because some of the socialization is an important part of it too, because these people are your friends. They become like family, and you want to see them, but you also have to get rested up. When I go back to the hotel, I've got audio to put together and to edit, and sometimes there's ads that have to be inserted, and then you've got to post some stories, and you've got to talk with your other people to see what they're covering or what they're going to cover the next day that you're not going to be able to get to. And you've got social media to post, and it's not just Twitter and Facebook, but it's Instagram posts and Instagram stories, and hey, what's the hashtag that we're using? And you want to try to be consistent with what PR wants you to do, and you're also trying to promote your brand and your product as well. So there's a ton of stuff, not only to prepare for what happened during the day, get that audio, get those articles ready, posted and ready to go, or schedule them because you want stuff to kind of go out sporadically, but also prepare for what's going to happen the next day. And then you have to be ready for the panels the next day. Now, some people are very fortunate and are able to get reserved seating for panels, but even with that, you still have to be there at a certain time. You have to be inside the convention floor, inside the panel itself, hours before they actually take place. And that's almost like when I take a moment to take a breath too, because I'm like, okay, I've got about an hour and a half. I can kind of pre-write some of the stuff. I can pre-record some of the stuff. Hey, I'm sitting next to James Burns or Clayton Sandell. I can grab a couple of quick things for the show for them, and then I can edit it later and put it into the show. You're basically always thinking. And honestly, it may sound stressful or crazy to some people, but I love every second of it.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you are right. It is very exhausting, and you do get tired. But it's like, for me, it's like teaching too. It's like adrenaline. You love it. But it isn't relaxing. It's not unlike a Disney vacation to a degree. I when I worked at Disney, I used to joke with people that you need a vacation from your vacation.
Absolutely, I agree with that. It's. Go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the thrill of being on the floor, engaging with everyone, seeing people, seeing each other, seeing all these people enthused by Star Wars. There's not, I have to say, thankfully, there's very little negativity on the floor at Celebration. There hasn't been. And for the few people that do try to spoil it, they get drowned out very, very quickly by all of us that are there, want to be there, want to celebrate Star Wars. No matter what's being pumped out, we're enthused to be there. We're enthused to hear whatever is being thrown or given out or being talked about. And it is an amazing feeling, and being part of it, going in and listening to the crowd getting warmed up by DJ Elliott and Daniel and hearing everything going on is absolutely amazing. And I remember sitting just before the Mandalorian panel in Chicago, and I'm sitting there with my laptop and I'm busy, but everyone's so pumped up, and it's just the energy that comes off of everyone. You can't not but be excited.
Oh, very much so. Well, let's go through recent celebrations. Give me a highlight or two, because, you get to see Celebration differently than a lot of other people because of the coverage, and you've obviously established a significant name for yourself in the community. Tell me some highlights for you as the editor-in-chief of Jedi News that enabled you to experience Celebration in a very unique way.
I think I've been extremely fortunate since, I've been to, 8 or 9 celebrations since the first Celebration Europe. And pretty much every single one I've had sort of some amazing access, being able to go anywhere, talk to anyone, go to all of the press conferences that go on behind the scenes and meet some of the stars. And I think that's just incredible, being able to talk to these people, and they're just human beings like us, and for some of them it's their first or second convention, and they're just as enthralled and wrapped up in it as we are. So seeing them get so much out of it, and understanding that they're just human beings in the same way that we are, and we're all in this together. For them, yes, maybe it's a job, maybe for us it's a job too, but all we want to do is to converse with them and to hear about their experiences and to learn from their experiences, maybe to make us better people, maybe just to learn how they adapted to certain situations, whether it be filming or working with other people that they'd always wanted to work with all their lives. So there's just so much going on. And I think some of those, for me, the most important thing about Celebration is being able to be with like-minded people like yourself and all of our colleagues and all of the people that we've met over the years, because Celebration is really the one time that we get to do that. Everybody's there. Agreed, we don't get to spend an awful lot of time together because we're all running around sometimes like headless chickens trying to get everything done. But regardless, it's just such an amazing time, and being together and sharing this wonderful thing with all your friends from all over the world. I mean, that to be honest, just still, I pinch myself every time that I can go anywhere pretty much in the world and there's like-minded people that are on the same page, and we can have a conversation about Star Wars, and they end up being your friends.
Yes. I mean, you and I are great examples of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we knew each other casually from Celebration Anaheim in 2015. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to the Gillette event in London, when Rogue One came out at Pinewood Studios, it was great because I ran into you and Mark there, and we chatted, and we knew each other, of course, from being online and stuff like that. But that was when you and I really got to connect and have some FaceTime together. And honestly, sometimes those events are better than Celebration as far as being able to actually, you have one thing and then you can actually focus on building your friendships and your relationships with your colleagues. And I'm grateful for that. And that led you and I, of course, to be part of the group that got to be there for the world premiere of Galaxy's Edge at California. And man, a lot of my great memories about Star Wars have to do with you.
Well, thank you. Likewise. I mean, that was, just doing those, being invited to those events, knowing that there's so few Star Wars fans that get to experience that event, and to be part of that, and the talent that was there that night. I mean, I was standing next to Trisha Barr, who's standing next to Brie Larson, and you just think, hold on a second, Brie Larson's in the crowd here.
Yeah,
she's not up on the stage. She's, and you just stop and think about moments like that where I guess an A-list Hollywood star is being treated in the same way that we are.
That's right. Yeah, we're like a rock's throw away from. I shouldn't say that because I wouldn't throw a rock at them, but we're close to. I was close to Hamill and Harrison and George and Iger and Billy D, and it was just it's a really, really wonderful thing. And another fun thing that's kind of behind the scenes is that in the weeks and months leading up to these events, James and I have a pretty good idea that things are happening. So we're constantly sending each other messages. Have you heard anything yet? Have you heard anything yet? And kind of helping each other out, and if we need it, and just kind of being there for moral support, because we're passionate about it and we love it, and we feel very blessed and fortunate that where we are in the community. But it's something that you always have to foster and to grow and to add to, and really there's nobody that does it better than you, James.
Well, thank you, and likewise. Look, these things don't happen just like that. They take a lot of time and they require a lot of work. And I think we're both very, very fortunate that if you look at the big things that have happened over the last few years, I think we've both been pretty much at every one together. Yeah. Which is pretty special. And just getting the call or the email that says this is going on, do you want to come, is the best. It is the best, and you have to stop and think and adapt. And for me, it's a little bit harder. I think everyone's got their challenges when these things come up. For me, I have to think about, well, hold on, I've got to get halfway across the world to be able to deal with this. And I know for you need to go and see if you can get some time off, which isn't always easy.
No.
So all these things pose different challenges, but I think being able to do it and being able to celebrate my love of Star Wars this way is incredible, and it's something I really, really don't take for granted. And maybe we should both take this opportunity to thank everybody at Lucasfilm and at Disney for ensuring that we do get these invitations.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't do it without them, and we're very fortunate that they trust us, and they know that we care. We care. We want to bring. Yeah. I want to bring the coverage, and I want everyone in the CWK Alliance to feel like they are a part of this. Whether you're there on the show floor and there's something you missed, or you're a million miles away and desperately want to be there, as James said so beautifully a little bit ago. We want you to feel like you're a part of it, because you are. There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing that's happening that we don't want you to be a part of, because you're just as So everyone listening and everyone reading Jedi News is just as important as we are, and just as critical and crucial to this wonderful Star Wars community that we are very fortunate to be a part of.
And I'd go one further and say that I know Lucasfilm is in it to make money, and that's why Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
But if you step back prior to that, when Lucasfilm was owned by George and Celebration came about through Dan and other people, and it was pitched as a love letter to Star Wars fans, and I'm hoping, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'm hoping that in those days, I don't think they really cared whether it made money or not. In the same way that when George made the Clone Wars, he didn't care whether he'd sold it. He just wanted to make it, and he hoped that people would get to see it, and obviously they did. But I don't think everything was about money, because
Right.
I don't think George was that materialistic when it came to some of these things. He wanted to further things. He wanted to do things because he wanted to do it. And if they saw the light of day, fantastic. But he wanted to do it on his terms. So if you go back to Star Wars Celebration and you think about the genesis of that event being a love letter for Star Wars fans, then I'm hoping that still stands today, albeit it does make money, I'm guessing. I mean, that sort of says it all. It is a love letter, and it's a way for all of us to come together once every couple of years and to celebrate this thing that has brought so many people together from all over the world for over 40 years. And there isn't another franchise on the planet that's done that.
Totally agree.
Apart from religion, maybe.
Yes. That's a whole other level.
Exactly.
Well, so before we let you go, what's the one thing that you are going to miss about not being there this week, and then B, what you're most looking forward to in 2022?
Wow. Probably the same thing, which is being together with our friends. I mean, it's been 6 months now that we've not been able to be with other people other than our families, really. So I'm really missing that. I'm really missing not being able to see people, to give them a hug, to share a drink, to talk face to face properly. So I'm really missing that. So I'm really missing that camaraderie, and I think that's what I'll miss from this weekend. I really do. It's for the last 10 years I've been to Rancho Obi-Wan every year. This will probably be the first year that I don't get to go because of the situation. So 22, well, who knows where we're going to be at that point. Could be on the full season of The Mandalorian around the corner.
Yeah.
We might be getting at the first trailer for a new Star Wars film. We might be getting the third release of Jedi Fallen Order, number 3.
True.
A new Star Wars TV series on Disney Plus. Maybe season 2 of an Ahsoka series. The Return of Rebels. Hey. There's just so many things. How about the final season of the Clone Wars?
So is there a main thing? So those are the things you're most looking forward to. How do I want to explain this? Basically, for me, and I know you very much share the same thing. You're lamenting that we're not here in Anaheim this week together, but there's a part of me, at least, and I think you will agree with this, that is okay with it. I mean, we had a short amount of time between celebrations to save the money, because to cover the way we want to and to bring the people on that or help us to make it happen, it requires money and time and effort. So there's a part of me that's glad I get a little more bit of time to save and get to spend that time with my family, but also it allows me to kind of spring back and make 2022 even stronger.
Yep, I completely agree with you. I think, hand on heart, having celebration every year is difficult.
Yes.
And I think having celebration every other year is definitely the way to go, or maybe once every 3 years. But I think every year is too much. I think it dilutes the content, and I think most people would prefer it to be every other year, because then it gives everyone a chance to save up, and it also ensures that the content that we do get is the highest quality. Now, I'm not saying that the content that we've got over previous years isn't of the highest quality. I just think that it will be I think the content would be better if it was every other year. And so from that point of view, yes, I'm delighted. I'm also have to say that with everything going on, and for example, Europeans can't fly to the US and things like that, I think being safe, being healthy right now is obviously the most important thing for all of us.
Yes.
So that we can all, please God, be here for 2022, and we can all be healthy, and we can all be together, and we can all celebrate the saga together. So,
Yes.
so from those aspects, I think yes, not having it this weekend is definitely the right thing.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is
That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-friendly, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk about some Star Wars. It is a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends along the way. I also want to thank all of the new and longtime members of the CWK Alliance and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement. A big thank you to our CWK Alliance members, Mary Perdue, Terrence King, Smooth Rivera, Dan Capurso, Aaron, Jim Tallman, JC Poe, Ed Kimoto, Greg McLaughlin, Robert Avila, Dustin Mills, Yancey Evans, Chelsea Sansbury, Connie Shee, Tyler Pompa, Hannah, Alex Procasio, Ian Thompson, David Nicely, Simbot Detradarian, Christine Turk, Kurt McKellen, Ross Halibin, Dan Ream, Colby Mead, Alexander Moylan, Frank Mulder, Blake Weaver, Jim Capron, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Aaron Harris, Chris Skavarka, Jeff Ellis, Daz Davies, Susan Gray, Thea Selby, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Jason Hall, Jared Cantor, Eric Struthers, Mark Suter, Angela Sauce, and Dennis Keithley. If you want to join the CWK Alliance, be sure to go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/CWK Alliance and sign up today. Not only will you help out Coffee with Kenobi, but you also get access to CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Corey Clubb. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, live video, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, please feel free to reach out to me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com, and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zer, MRZEHR. There are also a lot of ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, and check us out on Pinterest. You can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, and you can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, as well as on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as other popular culture topics. And if you're considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and help you make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com where we can get the process started. I'm also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. You can take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our CWK sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere on the planet. Please go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. And don't forget to pre-order my brand new book that I wrote alongside Pablo Hidalgo and Cole Horton, the Star Wars book published by DK. Be sure to pre-order your copy of the Star Wars book today. I can't wait to share it with each and every one of you. If you like the show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word. Go to iTunes and search Coffee with Kenobi and you'll see the show there. My circle of friends has grown so much because of this podcast and each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that we have such a wonderful Star Wars community. Thank you all so much for all you do. Totally agree, because as I mentioned last week, look, I want to be able to shake people's hands and talk to them, give them hugs. Right now, that would be very, very hard to do. Yep. So we look forward to the future and to celebrating the saga together. James, what a pleasure, of course, to have a cup of coffee with you once again. Where can people reach out to you to continue the conversation, and where can they reach out and find Jedi news?
So I'm not particularly great at social myself. I tend to keep myself relatively private. So you can find me. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. At Twitter, I'm at Planet Burns. The same, and on as far as Jedi News is concerned, we are everywhere. We're on all the social media platforms. It's JediNews.com, and on social media it's at Jedi News Network.
And honestly, as you mentioned a little bit ago, head to heart, is that your expression? Hand to heart?
Hand to heart.
Hand to heart, yes, I like when you say that. Hand to heart, Jedi News is my number one place to go for Star Wars news. I go there more than I go to StarWars.com, honestly. It was because of you and your great team and your amazing coverage.
Thank you. It's appreciated. It really is.
It's very true. Well, James, thanks again so much for being on Coffee with Kenobi again.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
A big thank you to James Burns for joining us this week on Coffee with Kenobi and for sharing what it's like to go behind the scenes of Star Wars Celebration from the world of a content creator. And I thought that would be fun to talk with James, because Jedi News is, of course, such a big website and a huge part of the Star Wars fan community. And it was a good chance for me to share what goes on a little bit with the world of Coffee with Kenobi. Speaking of, thanks again, everybody, for joining us each and every week. Don't forget to come and tune in Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live. We're going to go over our top 5 favorite Star Wars sound effects. The sounds of Star Wars are so iconic. So let's look at your top 5 favorite ones. There'll be some usual surprises as well. And this Sunday, join me at 12:30 Pacific Time, 2:30 Central Time for the Literary Language of Star Wars. I will be one of the panels for Force Fest. You've seen us advertising it along with many other podcasts, including Skywalking Through Neverland. Be sure to go to our website to find the link or to check out our social media pages, but you will find it on the Force Fest on the Get Vocal streaming service. It's going to be a great time. I look forward to seeing you there. And just like with Facebook Live, it's only going to be as fun as the questions and contributions you give live on the show. So be sure to join me there. See you on Sunday and have a great weekend, everybody. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.